There is a crafting skill that I have wanted to try, and I got the materials to do so, and that is tambour embroidery. I actually had to search far and wide to find a needle to learn how to do this. Honestly, I can't even find that many tutorials of it online, but I was looking at random embroidery things on my Pinterest, and I saw someone use this technique for beading, and then I went down an internet loophole and found out that you can actually just do a kind of chain stitch embroidery with this type of needle. It is kind of just like the tiniest, is it even gonna focus? Maybe, yeah. It's the tiniest crochet-like hook attached to this handle. You have different sizes of these hooks. I bought, I think, a 70, an 80 and 100. Yeah, I have 3 of these needles in here. I found it on a random German site. It delivered actually really quickly. It said it would take like 2 weeks, and it delivered in way less time. So yeah, I thought I'd take you along with me with learning this skill. I know it's very random, but it was just an itch that I had to scratch it. So yeah, I have already tested out a bit how it works, just to get used to it. I have this white fabric, see-through fabric, on an embroidery hoop that I still had lying around. I have my thread here. It's a bit messy, and I figured I would try to learn to embroider together with this tambour hook. I'm gonna clamp this hoop to my table and we'll get started. I thought I might practice writing a word, then I thought I might practice doing like a little flower pattern, and then I can brainstorm on ideas on how to use this in the future. I don't think I'd necessarily start beading immediately, although that is a cool option as well, but I have seen a few embroidery projects and things that I've saved on my Pinterest, and I thought this would be amazing to do. And honestly, it looks like a pretty fast way to embroider once you get the technique down. So come along, learn with me, and we'll see where we get. My first struggle when learning how to embroider like this was really just finding a way to get the fabric to do what I want as well. The needle was often pulling on it, and I couldn't get the needle up properly, I couldn't get it positioned properly, but eventually I did get more of a hang of it. It did take a while to get there though. At the point where I had finished the word, or almost finished the word, I think, I did want to start practicing just doing some squiggly lines. So I started on an outline of the word love here. Yeah, just winging it, honestly, and seeing how smoothly that went. Also, just to feel
like I could get used to the movement of turning the needle and such. For the second pattern that I wanted to try out, I just wanted something a bit more like classically embroidered, in the sense that you see a lot of flower patterns like florals and lace patterns and stuff like that, and I really wanted to try and copy something like that to see what it would look like if I did something finer, I guess, design wise. I did have to take quite a few breaks with this project, just because, I don't know if it's because my eyes aren't the best, or whether it's just such detailed work. I really had to take breaks to just look far in the distance and let my eyes adjust again, because honestly I couldn't see straight if I focused on this longer than half an hour or something. The detailed work was just too much for me. Maybe I should have sat back a bit, but on a lot of videos I have actually seen people use like a magnifying glass or something, which honestly doesn't sound like too bad of an idea if I ever do want to do this more often. As a third test, I just drew out a random swirly pattern. Nothing too flowery, but still kind of, swirls, and still, I guess it could still count as flowery. But anyway, I did that as a third one just to see how easily that would flow now that I could do my continuous lines a bit better.
I just got home from work and I thought I'd continue on my tambour embroidery project, learning curve, whatever, and start actually making an actual piece. I showed you the embroideries that I did on the thinner fabric that I had, and I'm really happy with the results of those. I'm just a bit curious to see how it would be on normal cotton. And I was just thinking of using this piece of quilting cotton that I still had left, and I think I'm just gonna make something up to embroider on there, some kind of text, and see how long it takes me. I do want to hang this up in the future on my wall, I think. I'm gonna write "slow it down" in block letters with an exclamation point, which is apt for an embroidery project, I think. But yeah, I'm gonna see how it goes with my needle. I do feel like with the third thing that I embroidered, I really got the hang of the pressure that you need to put on the needle, and it was so much smoother than the first thing that I did. So I'm very curious to see with like this type of woven material, the cotton, how it's gonna end up. Another thing I'm changing up is I have this old embroidery thread that I got somewhere secondhand ages ago. It's just this creamy, mushroomy color. And I think I'm gonna split this into a bit thinner threads and try to do it with this, because I am curious to see how a thicker thread will behave with a needle, just because I did enjoy the thinner vibes, but I think it might make more of an impact with a thicker thread. So I'm gonna see how that goes. I'm gonna get to drawing the design on my piece of fabric. I think I'm just gonna do it in pencil, and then I'm gonna clamp it onto my embroidery hoop, clamp that to the table. I have actually found a hack. I have this, yeah, just clamp, but this part is so annoying because I've hit my leg on it about 20 times already. I just have an old sock, and if I put it onto this, at least the impact is a little less rough. So I just pop it over the whole clamp like this. Looks a bit ridiculous, but when it's on the table, it's actually a lot better. So then I won't hurt my leg anymore. But yeah, I'm gonna get started on quickly drawing out the design. I'm trying not to be too finicky and perfectionist about it. I'm just gonna do something and enjoy the process. I just finished ironing my project and finishing it up a bit, and this is what it looks like. I am quite happy with it. It's a bit, it was a bit of a struggle at the end. I don't know if I filmed that anymore, but I had cut off the fabric in the wrong way, or I've drawn on my design in the bad way, that I didn't have that much space between the end and the side here. And what happened is I couldn't really get the right tension of the fabric in my embroidery hoop that I wanted, and I got really frustrated with it. But all in all, it did work out in the end. I am happy with the results. I do think I need a lot more practice to like really get it like in my fingers, how to do it properly. But I am surprised at how easily it went in the end, just because I am already really happy with the result of this. I think there are definitely some things that I still need to learn. For instance, sharp turns. I've been doing them now by making a really small stitch upwards or downwards or whatever way, and then making the turn. And I feel like that works out sometimes, and sometimes it really does not. But I think I will get there. Another thing that I've noticed is when stretching my fabric in the hoop, the letters that I wrote became a bit distorted, and I think that's why it's also like not exactly what I wrote down, because I think I corrected that and I don't know if I should have. I think if I had just followed the lines that I'd drawn, maybe it would have been straighter, I don't know. But like the tension of the fabric is a difficult thing. Good things that I did find out is that I can use 2 strands of embroidery thread and it looks really nice. It's a nice thickness. The issue I had with the embroidery thread that I was using, that's the one I thrifted ages ago, so I couldn't even tell you what composition it is that the threads did split more easily. With a single thread, of course, I didn't have that issue, but with this one, I often had it that my hook wouldn't take both threads up, and then I had to go back down and stuff like that. So that was a bit of a struggle, but all in all, not that difficult. I very much enjoyed working with the cotton a lot more than I did with this fabric, just because it's so much sturdier, and I barely ever took up a thread of the fabric, while with this one, that happened all the time. Now again, this is really, really cheap fabric. It's probably 100% polyester. I just bought it to test something. Like, it's really not. I think I only paid like €3 a meter for this, so it's definitely not the best fabric. I'm curious to see on other voile or tulle kind of like fabrics how an embroidery on there would work. I will test that in the future. But I do love the look of it. I think in the future what I still want to do is on this type of fabric use this type of thread, so the thicker embroidery thread, and see how that turns out. I think it would be lovely to use the technique to like embellish quilts or something, like patchwork. I actually had the idea to make a quilt based on my grandma's clothing patterns that she drew, because she was a seamstress, and I have a little booklet of patterns that she made. They're mostly for children, I think, but yeah, she has all the instructions written down. I thought it would be really cool to just make a quilt out of all of those pattern pieces, or like embroider them on as pattern pieces. I don't know, I loved that idea, so I think I might use this technique to embroider on that fabric then. But other than that, just for any kind of wording, it went really quickly. I think this only took me like 2 hours maybe, and I think once I've got it down, it's going to go so much quicker. So yeah, I really think this is a super handy technique to have learnt, and I'm really curious to see what else I will make in the future. Other skills that I want to improve on with this type of embroidery is definitely to learn to integrate beading in a way. I have seen so many handbags, I think, like velvet handbags with like celestial embroidery on there, and most of them have beads too, so I think I would love to try and do something like that. I think it could be really magical. I don't necessarily have any other
projects in mind with beading, but I think just as an embroidery technique, just with different types of threads, I am gonna be able to keep myself entertained with this skill. Maybe a review of the needle I used. Honestly, it was from such a vague store. I think it was a pretty standard set, but I noticed I used I think it's the 90 or the 80 size needle the most, just because it was a bit sturdier. I felt like the 70 was pretty flimsy at times, while the 80 I felt like I could put a little bit more pressure on, which in my case was very handy. But yeah, I am really happy I tried this out. Thank you for joining me. I think I'll be hanging this up somewhere, maybe in a little frame. I'll probably fold over the edges a bit. I'm not entirely sure yet, but it was a really good practice, and I'm definitely going to do more with this skill in the future and just keep learning. Thank you so much for watching. I probably will have a video about knitting next, well, probably in 2 weeks' time. I thought it might finally be time to film everything that I've knit. Just get everything out and make a complete list of everything. I have a pretty good overview of what I've knit this year and last year. Everything before that is a bit, like, I think I know everything, but I'm just gonna gather all my hand knits and tell you every single thing that I've done in the past. I'll start with the story of how I started knitting and little projects that I did as a kid as well. I think that can be fun. But yeah, that's all for this video. See you soon.